Instructor Courtney here for Boot Camp Readathon. I hope that you've had an amazing time, that it has jumpstart your reading and your fitness, and you take that same energy and extend it throughout the year. I've worked out, I've had a lot of water, and I've met some really great people. So hopefully you did too. Now let's do a little wrap up and get this month out of the way so we can go on to next month, okay? So we had 10 prompts with Boot Camp Readathon. So one of the prompts was Reveille, read an audiobook. Okay, well, I had this book here. Now I have the physical book, but I also did some audio. Echo Wife is a sci-fi book about a scientist who discovers that her husband is cheating on her with the clone that he created that looks just like her. And now that clone is pregnant. Now he winds up dead somehow, and then she has to figure out what to do with the clone and this dead husband with people going around asking questions. Now this book isn't exactly what I thought it was, but it was still pretty good. You had adultery, you had family drama and dysfunctionality, and how that shapes you throughout your life. I can relate to that. You also have a lot of discussion about the ethics of cloning and about, is it just that easy to replace people? Now, this book had me on a whirlwind of emotions with the main character. Sometimes I hated her and other times I felt really sorry for her. Overall though, I did enjoy it. I just thought there were some unrealistic elements and plot holes. And another book I did as an audio is The Lost Apothecary. Now that's like an exchange of books with recommendations for the 5-star book exchange by Neil Diamond. I'm gonna link that video and you can check that out. And that's the Reveille prompt. So another prompt is Dumbbell, read a banned book. So I got 13 reasons why. Now we all know about this book. It was, I think, 2016 or 17 on the banned book list. It's about a girl that committed suicide and then she sent these tapes to her classmates. So you follow this one guy classmate listening to all these tapes around town trying to figure out why she committed suicide. And you definitely have a few reasons: sexual assault, harassment, callousness, mean people. Overall, I enjoyed the story. I was just a bit irritated with the main character. His name is Clay, because he kept anticipating about where he fits into the story. It's like, how can you be so selfish? But I kind of understood that because he is a teen. But overall, I enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. But I am glad I skipped the show and just read this one book. So for the prompt burpee, read a book by a BIPOC author. Well, I actually had several on this list by BIPOC author, but I have The Loyal Wife, and this one was sent to me by Black Odyssey Media. Thank y'all. Now, The Loyal Wife is an urban family drama about this man who gets amnesia after being in an accident, and his very loyal wife comes to pick him up from the hospital. So he thinks he is the luckiest man alive, but she has some secrets of her own. Is she really his wife? Da-dum-da-dum. Now, I enjoyed this book. I just felt that the execution was very lacking. Like, some things didn't add up. Like, this man has, for one, selective amnesia, so he can remember certain things, but really critical things he couldn't. And also, he's going all around town freely and nobody recognizes who he is. And also, one thing about this book is that the language started out very conservative. The next thing you know, they're doing all of this cussing and using the N-word. It was just a little bit too much for me. I just felt like it was written by two different authors. And the next book is, okay, you have Hummer, read a book with military characters, and I have Love and War. So Love and War is about this male and this female that are both in the Navy. She's an officer, he's an enlisted person. So, you know, you're not supposed to fraternize with each other, but you know, they have their own little do, right? And then you have this other officer that comes into town and she hates him because of some thing that happened, and you find out that that officer and the guy have some sort of connection doing some shady business dealings. And then, you know, chaos and deception and some foul stuff comes up. It was really heartbreaking at some parts. But this book, I think while it had promise, was definitely lacking for me. For one, you had a bunch of cheesy friggin' metaphors that I was just like, really? But I also felt that they had such a toxic relationship, like the way they talked to each other. I just felt that it wasn't something worth saving. And then you had times where they're speaking proper English and all of a sudden the dude's speaking like he's from a crime syndicate. I just was like, this book is just doing too much. But I did like how she becomes this badass assassin type person, but it didn't happen until like 85% into the book. So overall, this is just not a book that I would really recommend. It just needs some work. And then you have When We Were One. Now, When We Were One is like a sci-fi fantasy type thing about this women-centric society, right? A futuristic society, a futuristic African society, where you had these females that have developed this bond that is interconnected between them and with nature. And it's actually very, very beautiful. And they practice parthenogenesis, which is basically they were able to procreate without a partner, and every being that they bring into the world is a female. So then you have this one lady that gives birth to a male child, which is funny because they don't know it's a male child. They think it's some mutation with this new girl that was just born. But anyway, so they realize that there's some sort of change is coming, and that is not for the good of their society, and they need to prepare. About in our current world, certain things are limiting and destroying us, like technology and food, time, money, religion, things like that are basically taking us away from God's true intention from us. But I loved how all of the females were able to live in harmony and how that was expressed. The prose was definitely awesome. I think this author has some talent in writing. Although the format of the book with all the spacing just kind of threw me off. Amazing story, great cover. I didn't know what to expect, but I'm definitely glad that I read it. And the next book is Blood Debts. And this is a book that is over 400 pages right here. So Blood Debts follows these two teens that are in this magical world in New Orleans, and their mother is sick, and they find out that there's some sort of curse that has been put on her. So then they go and try to get their family together to relieve this curse, and then they realize that there's this infighting in the magical community because of something that happened way long ago with their family, and they start to research this mystery about maybe their family legacy of being head of this magical committee or council has probably been stolen from them. I really enjoyed the loyalty between the brother and sister main characters, and I liked the intergenerational friendship drama. That was really interesting. And the whole play on racism with basically the white people magic versus the black people magic, and how the white people are trying to get in and cultural appropriate the black people magic, that was definitely unique as well. I thought that the teens were definitely nosy, and Valentina, that's one of the other side characters, just talked to her family like they were a dog, and I'm surprised her dad didn't do something about that. That really disappointed me. And the visit from a god, ooh, that was probably my favorite part. But I will say, as much as I really did enjoy this book, I felt that there was a lot of like plot holes, like introduction of characters that you didn't do anything with, and it's just a lead up so that you can read the next book. So that disappointed me. And I also did not like how this book ended. I feel like if you're going to read this, you definitely need to have the second book already handy. And now I have low crawl, which are books that are under 100 pages, and I have a few of those. So you have Bitter, which is a Snow White retelling, kind of like mafia vibe. So you have this girl that works at a coffee shop, and this guy comes in and saves her from a mugging. Then they start a little something, and she realizes that he is tied to her past and that they are really enemies. So then she becomes a badass killer assassin. I love the tale of revenge, and I definitely did not expect all the killing that happened at the end. But I kept sitting there thinking, how does he not recognize her? It's only been 2 years. That definitely rubbed me the wrong way. And then you have Tormenter. This is about a guy with some mental illness that stalks yard sale, kind of like Facebook pages, to kidnap women and torture and kill them. Now, this book definitely wasn't what I expected. You're definitely getting in that psychosis of someone who has a very dangerous mental illness. But it was a really quick, fast-paced book, so I enjoyed that. And as someone that does sell things on the Facebook marketplace, I am definitely going to be way more careful now. And then you have Hunt. Hunt is a short story about this brother-sister team who go around hunting monsters. So they're on the way to find this demon where the brother gets possessed, and then they get in danger and they meet this other couple who is hiding a little secret of being some monsters themselves. So it was a quick read. I wouldn't have minded more of a story, but for what it was okay. And you have F-Love. Now, F-Love is about this guy and a girl that are best friends, even though they're attracted to each other, and she is constantly throwing herself at him, and he's just like, no, it's gonna ruin our friendship. I know I want you, but no. Then, you know, they get a little something, and then he runs away. I was just like, okay, dude, this is too much. For one, I don't like the trope of a girl throwing herself at a man. And I also did not like the part where they do the do and then he claims she took advantage of him. I was not about that life, okay? Bro knew what he was doing and decided to just be an a-hole about it, okay? And then when he cuts everybody off because he wants to concentrate on his rap career, bro, please. But I thought the book was wild and her friend was definitely ride or die. Now you have Class 6, which is read a horror or erotica. Now, I read one of each. So you have Alpha Crusher, right? Now, I had issues with Alpha Crusher, okay? It is a BWWM, black woman, white male, interracial romance, right? Now, out the gate, this bro comes at her with a bunch of racism and sexism, but somehow she's attracted to him and it just gets her blood boiling. And I just was like, what is wrong with you? And then there was also some stereotypes, in my opinion, in the book that just rubbed me the wrong way. And I looked in the back of the book and it is a black author, so I just was like, some just don't scream right to me. But anyway, this book is about this woman who owns a construction company, and then you have this super rich guy that wants to buy the construction company, but instead they decide to kind of get it on, and he falls head over heels in love, even though he was Playboy like 2 minutes before. I just was happy this book was over. And another book is All the Rage. Now, All the Rage is a horror book. So you have this guy, he's in jail, he has tons of rage, just mad at the world, just horrible things that have happened to him, right? And then he somehow escapes because something happened during the transport, and then there's some virus that's infecting everybody, and they all get the rage too. So then he hooks up with this other girl who has a horrible backstory as well. And then they start navigating the waters, going other places to get away from all the other people who have all the rage virus. So as you can tell, this is an extreme horror apocalyptic book. I would say everything in this book is a complete trigger if you're one of those people that get triggered by violence, sexual assault, meanness, badness, nastiness. And the ending definitely isn't what I expected, but definitely a unique story, and I appreciated reading it. I also got recommended a book from Jaleesa at Reading Beyond the Book Cover. I'm gonna link her channel below. She recommended me this just off-the-wall book called The Grownup, okay? So it is basically about a girl who her job is to give, you know, little handies, right? And she gets carpal tunnel. So she gets to the front of the house giving psychic readings. So then she gets involved with this lady who thinks that her house is haunted and that her son is haunted, and then something interesting happens. So you got to kind of figure out what's really going on in that household. But this book had a lot of twists and manipulations and was just kind of bonkers, especially towards the end. But I really did enjoy the premise and plot of this book. Now, The Grownups is actually by the author that wrote Gone Girl, so you already know it's going to be an interesting read. I also read Animal Farm, which was a quick, short read. I remember reading it in school, didn't enjoy it as much, but I enjoyed it a lot now. You know, these animals take over this farm, and you have all of these political connotations associated with it. And you see the inherent selfishness of humans. But it was a really good book, and you see definitely a lot of gaslighting. So Napoleon can kick rocks for sure. And let's see, where am I at now? So then I got into a bunch of graphic novels, right? So I have You Bought Me the Ocean. So this follows a few different characters. You have a teenage boy who wants to be a marine biologist and get out of his small town and go to the ocean and, you know, see the world at large. And he realizes that when he gets involved in some water, that he basically has a glow up. So, you know, trying to figure out what that's about. It has to do with his dad. And then you also have his best friend who's a female who wants to be with him, but he's harboring the secret that, you know, he likes guys. And then he meets a guy who's super hot, if you ask me. And they have a little, you know, coming of age story and get to know each other. But really good book. I enjoyed this a lot. Then from that book, I was able to find this book, which is Victor and Nora. You have Nora, who has this debilitating disease, who is dying, and you have Victor, who's this teenage scientist. Why he has complete access to this state-of-the-art lab and is doing his own projects, I have no idea. But anyway, they meet each other, have a little love, and he doesn't want to lose her. So is he going to cryogenically save her? I don't know, but he's working on it. Lots of science facts in this book. I enjoyed it. Then you have this book here. This is a 2-book series called Lady Killer, right? So you have this housewife in the 1960s who moonlights as an assassin for hire. Her husband doesn't know. So, you know, where her boss is questioning whether or not she can balance being this housewife with also keeping her job. So then he decides, well, why don't I try to kill her? So you see the aftermath from that. Very bloody, very gory. She's beautiful. You have some people in here that just aren't gonna die. So you know what? She got to take care of them. And then you have this 2-book series here called Mockingbird. And you have this beautiful superhero lady that basically got her powers from some sort of virus. And she interacts with all sorts of Marvel characters. And, you know, at one point she jacks up Tony Stark because, you know, he ate her sandwich or something like that. But anyway, she's a scientist. Tons of science facts, and she knows how to kill. But really good book series there. And you also have this 3-book series. Now this is the Keanu Reeves graphic novels. Now I already read 1 and 2, and I got this 3rd one here, which I'm still working on at the time of this, but by the time Boot Camp Readathon is done, I will be done with this. But basically you have this guy who is immortal and who cannot die, and you know, he goes berserk and is a mean fighting machine. And he is working with the government to be used as a weapon in exchange to allow them to experiment on him and to figure out, you know, where he comes from and how he is immortal. And it's very bloody, it's very gory. The guy looks like Keanu Reeves. Good time. You get to see what the government does when they want to make a weapon. I also got a NetGalley arc of another one in the series, and I should be done as well with that by the end of Boot Camp Readathon. Whew. Okay. What else did I do this month? Okay, so one of the prompts also is to exercise for 30 minutes. I have done that many times. I've done it on sprints. We won't rehash that. You know that I work out. And another prompt was go somewhere new. Well, I went to see Ludacris and Juvenile in concert. Ludacris did not show up, so I will not be shelling out any more dollars for him. Kick rocks Ludacris. Juvenile showed up and it was an amazing time. I'll insert some clips here if you want to take a look.
Look, mama, I sit together, I ain't tired of you. I don't think that nigga can do you better than I can do. You know? Stupid out before the street right there. Same nigga used to be running from the curve. And I'm playing from the know you get a chance with it. But I can bounce with without using my hands with it. I like it like, see, working that back up.
I was able to finally finish, y'all, this diamond painting that I have been working on since October because I just have not been devoting time. But I finally finished. It's very beautiful here. I love it a lot. So that's it. That's it. Oh, y'all. I'm tired just talking about all the stuff I did this month. So that has been my January, okay? I hope that y'all had a good time with Boot Camp Readathon. I definitely will be hosting this again next January. If you're interested in being a co-host, reach out to me, okay? I'm gonna drink some water. Bye, y'all.